So obviously we are quite deep in the waters right now by saying that evolution is a process towards truth. But let's go further. Let's see where we end up. Hello, fellow sign lovers. Well, it didn't take much time for that first idea to develop. Namely, I received a very insightful comment from Antony Mount, and in this video I'm going to respond to that comment, and we will see how we must change the definition I presented in the previous video. But here's the comment. I'm a big fan of Peirce, but I struggle understanding his complex architectonic. One problem I have with your definition is this idea that truth is not out there, but is a property of belief. That we are either tying truth to believers sounds like a kind of nominalism that Peirce was vehemently opposed, or really stretching the meaning of belief. Can atoms have beliefs? Habits? Sure. Beliefs? Not so sure about that. It is true that a diamond is hard because it would resist scratching if tested. Or is it only true because someone believes it would resist scratching, and that belief is in harmony with the believer's environment? And doesn't this harmony with its environment presuppose a kind of objectiveness regardless of any belief? I read Peirce as not denying transcendent truth, a truth that is out there, but we don't have any kind of direct intuitive access to it. In fact, his definition of reality seems to be at odds with truth being a property of belief. First of all, thanks for this comment. These are very reasonable concerns, and we will go through them one by one. So I see there are 3 points or 3 concerns in this comment. Firstly, there's the concern that truth is wholly dependent on believers. Then there is the question of which systems or which beings can have beliefs, and then the really big one, the transcendentality of truth, or I would say maybe the reality of truth. Is truth real, or is truth dependent on us? So let's go through this one by one. So the first concern is that we are now tying truth to current believers and current beliefs. This wasn't the meaning of the definition. What I wanted to say is that truth is an ideal limit. Absolute truth cannot be attached to our current beliefs or current believers because we don't have absolute certainty. This is what Peirce calls fallibilism. All of our beliefs are more or less speculative or tentative. We don't know for certain that they are absolutely true. So the true belief is an ideal belief, a belief that would be adopted by all inquirers after an immense amount of research. All we can have for now is the experience that our beliefs seem to be true, but we don't know for certain that they are absolutely true. So when we say that our belief is true, what we really mean is that that belief is outside any reasonable doubt. So I don't think that with this definition we are tying truth to believers or our current beliefs, because true belief must be understood as this ideal limit, a belief that would be adopted by all inquirers in the long run. Of course, it may be in that I didn't underline this aspect of the definition in the previous video, so it's understandable, but I think that this isn't an inherent problem with the definition. The next concern was that we are stretching the word belief too far, that we are saying that all systems, from oil droplet to a dog, would have beliefs. And this wasn't the idea. I think when Peirce says that belief is a conscious habit or self-controlled habit, it requires a certain level of symbolic thought that isn't possible, that is possible only for humans. So I think we could say that beliefs apply only to humans, and that other organisms and systems have habits but no beliefs. And now the third concern, which is by far the heaviest and most complex, and it has to do with transcendental truth, or I would maybe say the reality of truth. So the question is truth real? Is there truth out there? Or is truth merely a property of beliefs? Now, it's quite evident that in many places, Peirce speaks about truth as something that is connected to beliefs. And exactly this belief-doubt cycle that we have talked about in the previous video. That a true belief is a belief that wouldn't cause any surprises. And in that sense, what I said in the previous video is quite sound in my opinion. But I also said that truth is not out there, but only a property of beliefs. And now I have some concerns about that statement. Now, by saying that truth is not out there, I think the whole process of science becomes somewhat unstable. And if we limit truth only to beliefs or only to propositions, I think we'll lose something very crucial. But let's go back a bit. So, there seems to be two conceptions of truth. One is a property of beliefs or propositions, and another one is this metaphysical idea about the reality of truth. Now, the first one, as I said, I think it's very reasonable interpretation of Peirce, because in many occasions Peirce speaks about truth as something connected with propositions. For example, a belief in a proposition is a controlled and contended habit of acting in ways that will be productive of desired results only if the proposition is true. If your terms truth and falsity are taken in such senses as to be definable in terms of doubt and belief and the course of experience, then well and good. But if by truth and falsity you mean something not definable in terms of doubt and belief in any way, then you are talking of entities of whose existence you can know nothing. But in other places, Peirce speaks about truth with a capital T. For example, it so happens that I myself believe in the eternal life of the ideas truth and right. They have life, generative life. The purpose of every sign is to express fact, and by being joined with other signs, to approach as nearly as possible to determining an interpretant which would be the perfect truth, the absolute truth, and as such, at least we may use this language, would be the very universe. So if I muse here a bit, could we conceptualize truth as an ideal or as a power that attracts and calls us towards it? In this case, truth would obviously be something extrinsic. Is truth and strange attractor towards the whole of universe is growing? But this again isn't so far-fetched as it first sounds, because many of us believe that we cannot build our lives on lies. We cannot build our society based on lies. That isn't sustainable. That truth will win in the end. This is something that many of us believe. But is this because lies or false beliefs aren't in harmony with the immediate environment and therefore not sustainable? Or is it because lies are contrary to the whole direction towards which universe is growing? But are these two conceptions of truth two sides of the same coin? I mean, could we see that through our beliefs, through this experience of friction and surprises, we will approach this metaphysical, real ideal of truth? And I found a very interesting quote from Peirce where he hints, I think, to these two conceptions of truth. Give it a listen. The soul's deeper parts can only be reached through its surface. In this way, the eternal forms will by slow percolation gradually reach the very core of one's being, and will come to influence our lives. And this they will do, not because they involve truths of merely vital importance, but because they are ideal and eternal verities. I want to go back to the idea we hinted at previously. This idea that truth is an ideal or an end towards which the universe is growing. Peirce claims that signs seek to represent their object as clearly as possible, as truthfully as possible. And if universe is perfused with signs, as Peirce believes, and if the universe itself is a sign, well, then the whole of universe is moving towards truth, because everything in the universe wants to represent its object truthfully. So there is this ongoing process of signification where signs seek to mediate the forms of the object to the interpretant. That is, basically we're talking about semiosis here. And semiosis is a synonym for evolution. So, evolution seeks to grow towards truth, it seems. So this is quite a strange idea, and I don't know how we got here, but here we are. And this is something that happens with Peirce quite often. So obviously we are quite deep in the waters right now by saying that evolution is a process towards truth. But let's go further. Let's see where we end up. So evolution is a process where signs seek to represent their objects perfectly, and this representation isn't finished yet. And that's why we have evolution. We have biological evolution and obviously cultural evolution. We are part of this process where we are trying to represent the object truthfully to one another. We are trying to form a perfect, beautiful representation, and we are in the process of it right now. But you may ask, okay, sounds quite mysterious, and it is, but what is this object we are trying to represent? It's a good question. Well, I would guess that's the purpose of the universe. We are trying to represent the purpose of this universe, and that's obviously a mystery. But that's my guess. So let's return where we left off. So there were a couple of concerns, and I think I have now cleared them. But this third one about the reality of truth, I don't really like to use the word transcendental, but the reality of truth is a very complex one, and it's very hard to keep it together, because there are so many things that link to this idea of truth. And that is also something that which happens with Peirce quite often, that you think that you have a reasonable structure to your presentation or video or whatever, but you want to tell one aspect of Peirce and you end up telling like everything. There is the Peirce's thinking is very hard. Maybe I say something about this. So Peirce's thinking is very hard because you have to understand the whole, but in order to understand the whole, you have to understand the parts, and in order to understand the parts, you have to understand the whole. So there is no clear entry point to Peirce's thinking. It's a wholeness of thought which has many different parts, but which forms this very beautiful and logical structure, which is very interconnected. It's almost continuous. So being a continuous thing, there is no real way to take one part of his thinking and speak about that. When you speak about one part of Peirce's thinking, say logic or metaphysics or phenomenology, you end up in the end speaking about the whole architectonic or the whole thinking of Peirce. So this is a real challenge with Peirce, when reading Peirce, when studying Peirce, and something that you should be aware of, that this feeling of being lost is quite normal. This feeling of not quite getting it, not quite understanding it, is something that is, I think, always present, because it's just so big, this thinking. It's so massive, the architectonic, that it is really, really hard to understand it all. And it's also so foreign thinking to us. These ideas, just these ideas that I presented in this video feel so foreign to us, because I think they are so ahead of our time that still these are very hard ideas to really even to play with, So Peirce is hard, but it's very interesting and it's very fruitful. This architectonic which Peirce gives us is philosophy. It's so fruitful tool for thinking, and rich in suggestiveness, that I really like it. But that is something I just wanted to share, because maybe there are many of you that struggle with these same things that I do. But let's wrap this video up. I think we could say that our universe tends towards truth, and that truth is real, truth is out there, contrary to what I said in the previous video. But our vehicle towards that truth is our beliefs. By inquiring and investigating our beliefs, are they true, do they cause friction, do they cause surprises, etc., gives us a method of approaching truth. But this truth that we are approaching is real. So I think that's sort of the viewpoint I now have. But thanks for watching. Smash that subscribe button and give this video a like. Share it with your friends. And next time, I think we will speak about symbols. It's a very interesting topic. But until then, good sign hunting.